drinks. I'm enjoying some broadcast. Okay, yeah, just getting traveling a little bit. Maybe some go. I think in the next couple of weeks I'm gonna try some other places in Florida. Just to I don't know, maybe I shift the energy so I can like do something different altogether. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Energies here aren't too bad. It's actually more of the positive energies I've had traveling around. What do I do? So that's good. It's probably one of my better trips actually, which is about time. So this is Martian Reptilian invasion of Earth. That's all. It's no big deal. That's all. Just a bunch of Martians, sucking out our reality. Pleiadian hybrid and Feline and Canine wars or conflicts or whatever or interaction, whatever. Just anyway, the Martian energies. I'll go into that in a second. Let's have in some of the reptilian stuff that's going on here, just for the sake of. I mean, seeing how they're everywhere. Why not? Yeah, I have nothing better to do anyway, right? Okay. Zones hard to come. Private sessions. There's a shop here. I'm on the. I think on the 9th or 11th, I'm going on. So for some people, same situation here. The webinar of social network. Rabbits slowly being updated behind the scenes and the dating site. Yeah, some things I was going to show, but I can't remember what it was, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so the reptilian energies, they've been showing up recently because they're everywhere. So here's a thought. And you can take it however you want. So they're obviously these alien beings are here in another dimension. That making themselves obviously too well known here. So a place like Mars. So we have another dimension here we're not picking up on. So we have Mars, and right now Mars looks like it's gone, right? It's just vacant. So if we have another dimension here that we can't see, or many dimensions, why not be like a Martian reality somewhere where everything is going fine? So in the past, it taps into like Mars being like it's like an experimental world of taking over planets such as ours. like connecting like planet destroying technologies, things like that. Of course, that's not something you normally talk to in a remote environment. But think of because a lot of Martian energy is in Mexico. Mexican pyramids, which I believe is more like Martian pyramids. So it doesn't mean it's all bad from Mars, because there's a lot of good energies in the Mayans, in the Aztecs. Not all, all taking over, far from it, but it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of takeover and not takeover. So think of like a Mars, like part of their society is how to take over planets, and conveniently theirs is now gone, supposedly, and then they moved here. So they move operations on our world, was on a third dimensional level, and so they continue. So think about Mars, like think about some of their culture, somewhere part of their culture, not all of it, but part of it. Like, how do we manipulate humanity or anybody? What goes into that? Like, they actually work on it. So they do it in Orion. They do it. Orion is like a Martian. Orion and Mars are pretty much connected. So that's part of it's like a military planet, technically. I mean, isn't Mars like war? So think of like their trying to figure out how to manipulate a planet, and then they bring it here. I mean, is that all that far fetched? Not really. So I feel like some of this is obviously as you go into an awakening state, it might be a little bit heavy to like digest all of this. But that's really what the fourth dimension is all about, is going beyond what we're normally thinking and really going beyond where it gets kind of, you feel a little bit uneasy because you're actually tapping into alien energies that are actually here. It's like, shit, am I ready for this or not? So the whole point of all this is just tapping into those dimensions that we're not seeing. So even as I talk about it, I'm getting kind of blocked a little bit, but that's okay. Another thing, oh yeah, I was going to tap into their energies that are here, at least my area, or the UFO report went out, and yeah, I guess they're just going through all the, yeah, well, we don't know what the hell that is, so let's go and move on to the next thing. Jeez. I wasn't really sure where. I mean, I figured they were going to block the whole alien thing altogether, but it might show up later on when you start to unravel it more. But I kind of figured. I mean, one part I feel like they're going to keep the whole element out. I was surprised they're not blaming anybody, which is a smart thing. Like China's doing this or Russia. They're just like, I don't know. That's a good way of answering. That's a good report there. Nice waste of time. But anyway. Forgot. And then my mic close enough. Anyway, so yeah, how convenient. Yeah, energies have been kind of not so I guess getting too pot. Things are shifting for sure. They are part of the awakening. Reptilian beings would just go into their energy because see how they're everywhere. Obviously, I don't see them physically, but once again, you see them in society, of course. Not maybe in everything, but it's there. Basically, they made our work day or go to work and everything part of our reality. Call that, enslavement, basically. So let's see here. They're not allowed to show themselves for various different reasons. Some of it's government related. They can go beyond that, but they try not to. It's not just that they're going to scare people. It's just that they don't feel like they're being fully understood. So they keep a lot back. Ways they're seeing them. Of course, in Africa, they can show themselves practically wherever they feel like. People don't see them physically, but they see holograms of them every now and then in certain areas of Africa, Ethiopia, etc. Kind of like ghosts. So at night, why people have night terrors and stuff is also when they're not always reptilians doing this, but where some humans are being programmed for this reality. So the architect of this reality, of course, there's an archon grid across the planet, but there's also several other grids to keep us intact, for now at least. So for alien disclosure to occur, yeah, some of their knowledge, yes, connected to Aztec. Also, Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat was also part of writing and rewriting DNA. You can say all these sacred sites are involved with our DNA, like opening us up and shutting us down, opening us up. So when these sacred sites begin to start opening up, and some people are sacred. Yeah, they can activate. They're active. Some people are actually activators for other people. We're just slowly going into those stages. Doesn't mean we're gonna have huge alien interactions anytime soon, but just basically unraveling our reality little by little. Yeah, they're kind of just testing the waters right now. Let's see. Angkor Wat. Is it Angkor Wat? Yeah. Angkor Wat has various different energies. A lot of it is Arcturian. A lot of it was very colorful at one time. And of course, it lowered its vibrations because it shut down. But it very much was part of like a lot of sacred sites about rejuvenation. So it took the human body and rejuvenated it to a power that was actually unheard of from other human species. It was very advanced compared to other human worlds. Of course, the human here was a lot of humans couldn't handle it. Some could, but of course, other beings are manipulating it because they got nothing else to do. Obviously, when they're manipulating humans, they notice a lot of flaws, or humans aren't ready for their own power. So obviously, it got shut down. Of course, us being shut down, the human, reality just started to enjoy being shut down. Just enjoy the darkness here, and society. Not everybody enjoyed, but quite a few enjoyed their problems and all these things, because problems are kind of like a cage. So obviously, a lot of beings are learning from our society, uh, like what not to do. Well, it's just some humans here just in love their indulgence of decay. Primitive decay. It's just the way it is. I mean, there are positives with it, but it can get kind of out of control at times. So it's just the evolving. Obviously, those like in the spiritual community that are here to evolve, and they have their some. Yeah, they don't. They say they want to evolve, but then they stop. So, like I said, all this is about alien contact, or bringing it more closer to us, where we can activate ourselves. Yeah, there's a time and place for all of this. Obviously, if you're around other people to make contact with alien energies, that doesn't always work. Sometimes it's doing it individually, because one or two people can be sabotage the connection. Like so many people go and they want to see aliens in the sky, right? Sky watching. But what if not everybody there is ready for that? I mean, it only takes one person to just not make it happen. So it's actually a little bit more complicated than you might think. But anyway, it's just some alien beings don't want to show themselves. Because the vibrations of people there that was the best. It all depends on the situation, of course. Or some just don't care. It all depends of what's going on. Yeah, so there's have like around some mountains, I guess, when they have aliens that are interacting with each other, they don't care if people are sky watching or not. They're having conflict, galactic conflict. So they're not like they don't care if people are calling on them or not. So, all right, we're going to I believe a reptilian energy, Martian reptilian vibration. Let's see what we get from that. Okay, blessings. And then we're going to play in hybrid and Feline and Canine. Greetings. We're reptilians. Greetings here. Reality. There are, yes, many worlds that put together a planet like yours to find its vulnerabilities, to exploit them. Yes, with the human race, many are indulging into their excessiveness. A lot of them is for a sexual reason, but others are for self-exploration. Or many of you, those of you that are having difficulties opening yourselves up, like remembering yourselves, because you've had some of you have had quite a constructive incarnation cycle here. Meaning that you'll be surprised how many of you actually play a prominent role in the evolution of humanity. So those of you who call yourself star seeds, many have actually now it's not always going to be made clear of what your places are in the past, and so you slowly discover it. Now, sometimes you might get a channel message like, "Oh, by the way, you're that person in history," but in all truth, many of you play a big role here. many incarnations here of helping humanity evolve. So yes, in a famous one, in a famous role, wherever it is, politics, music, whichever, just to get the ball rolling for society. Let's tell you this, there are hybrid worlds of humans that are created, that are brought here to not go anywhere, not to evolve. So hybrid programs are not always here for the best. Some are here to actually keep worlds from devolving, or to keep worlds to devolve. That's their mission. That is what they've been created for, is to go backwards, not forwards. And that is not just that's to go again, and it's to make things more complicated. And the hybrids do have souls. It's just they know they're designed, their mission here is not to evolve. And there's a great deal of that here. So some that are saying part of hybrid programs, are they hijacking your world at this time? You'd be surprised. Oh, I thought it was all light and love, and then you find out there's something else going on there. That maybe it's light and love, but kind of distorted. And they're actually programming your society. It's deep. It's very, very deep. Are you willing to go there? Well, the answers will come out slowly. Now, people believe that, well, either way, the knowledge will be out there for us. So there's a lot of truth out there in the world that people just don't believe. And the truth just wanders around, swims around in your world. Nobody gives a shit. Some do, but it's not part of your mainstream society as of yet. But once again, for many of you that are incarnating in your past, so many of you are having difficulties healing currently. Like, who the hell am I? Why do I feel so blocked? You'd be surprised how it's like, maybe you feel like, God, I cannot see the future for damnedest. I can't connect to my powers for anything. What the hell is wrong with me? So what we're saying is maybe you ought to look at history, somewhere in history, or many timelines in history, whatever you want to look at. It's like, do you feel like you played a role, a prominent role, where you just mess things up so damn much somewhere? That's why you're blocked. Now, that doesn't mean that you didn't do good here. Most of you have, or whatever. You changed reality for good or bad. It doesn't matter. You're part of history. And that's when you start unlocking yourself. So it's like, yeah, I did a lot of bad stuff in that time, but I did a lot of good in that one. And then it went back to being bad. And then I was good again, and so forth. And that's when you start peeling away your blockages. Now, some are going to be able to put anything up, but that's a deeper connection there. But for the Reptilian or the Martian invasion, we have a lot of, as Martians, we have a lot of pyramid technologies here, yes. Some good, some are just programming society on an astral level. A lot of DNA is in these pyramids. We're not going to say which ones. You can say pyramids were seen as an offering. It's like here's a library about the universe. It's like we build a library and you can access other planets and other realities. And yes, sometimes it's used for the worst, whatever it is. But humanity, if it chooses, when it puts down the alcohol, it wants to learn more about its world. You'd be surprised when it starts unlocking. Like some humans will start looking as your normal people. Some of them you might see them shapeshift, and some of you might see this already, but shapeshift to feline, canine, whichever. You see society shapeshift. Now, a lot of that's been blocked, but that's part of your awakening of just seeing the person's original soul, reptilian, whatever it might be. A fish person. You don't hear about those very often. A squid person, insectoid person. As many of you probably feel those energies around, you just can't see them unravel in due time. It's like, wow, this world is more alien than I thought it was. Greetings to you. I am Jessica with the Pleiadians. There are many discoveries of DNA of all kinds, of all types, but Pleiadian connections to your world, yes, is to kind of mimic your society for those that wish to assist it, meaning that many that have incarnated or been alien beings here in human form, basically look as a human, and then eventually they decide to incarnate here. So it's another part of ground crew here is to just be an alien being here in human form, and even within you can be an alien being here and live in society. Obviously, they're not going to go into detail of who that is. Tall whites do it all the time. They can actually literally get away with it, and then they appear, disappear. They're not going to. And some of it's connected to your military. It's not all part of the military, but quite a bit of it is. It's usually done in well, because realize yes, we can shift your reality pretty quickly, easily, where you can't detect us, but we're everywhere. But usually, a ground crew that is an alien on your planet. Normally, that means eventually they're going to incarnate here as a human. It's one way of preparing for it. Now, not all do that, but quite a few do. Yes, there are many hybrid worlds out there, and some do get hijacked. Hybrid planets can easily, well, not easily, if they do get found and taken over, yes, they can be easily used against worlds like yours. We have influx of incarnations here that are controlled. We'll just put it that way. Hybrid programs can be quite complicated. It's up to the human. You're going into a more of a galactic awareness of where your world even comes from. Of course, that hasn't been too clear, and it's not. You can say your planet has kind of like a license plate number. I mean, it has a code connected to it of its origins, where it came from, was the meaning of it. Yes, humans are expressing themselves on many different levels, everything but the alien connections and spiritual connections. Well, they're still trying to figure out how to be human here, trying to make a life. Because the program society is, yes, you be born, you get married or something, and you have a job, and many are trying to achieve these certain elements as a challenge for themselves. The alien vibration, of course, when that comes in a physical, will take a lot of you out of that. But hybrid energies, some of you have been working on hybrids on other planets, on ships, and have seen, yes, reptilian realities of manipulating humans on many different levels. They know the human inside out. Of course, many felines do too. So that's why you have feline reptilian wars on other worlds. So the hybrid energy is just basically knowing your own origins, unlocking yourself. It's truly just unlocking who you. It's many here feel, it's different alien races, but some of you, yes, some of you are connected to alien races that are beyond imagination. Yeah, some of the children are drawing them. It's like really is a deep connect. The beings that are not well known at all are usually deeper connections. I mean, they're usually far from your planet. They're just far. They're far from this type of society. They don't get up and go to work. They don't do anything like that at all. They're far from all these things you call normal here, and more of their knowledge. Yeah, it's not an easy awakening. Where you're connected to alien beings they do not live anything like this society at all. And even for us alien beings that are assisting with hybrid programs, well, many of us are used to it because we have incarnations here. Having incarnation here helps you with a hybrid program. And actually almost makes you an expert to a certain degree because you know the ways of the human. So if you're part of any hybrid program of any planet, usually incarnate there first. It all depends, but it does help. Blessings. Greetings to you. I am Sion, a feline being. A feline being with a lot of reptilian connections. I am half feline, half reptilian. And yes, we do have a great deal of, yes, history with, yes, canine manipulations. Or a lot of canines and felines do get along on other planets. But all do because the agenda. Some canines, yes, are so docile, so easygoing, and some of the felines are controlling. Now, some are learning from the canines to be felines are learning from the canines to be a little bit kinder, softer. So it's like you need both because some felines become so reckless and vicious. Some of you have memories of this. Because some of it has to do with reptilian war, some of it has to do with power. Some of the felines feel like they're more, humans they're just more. Some felines feel like they're more advanced than any other species, and some of you might get that vibe from some feline beings because it still exists. Not even humans feel the same way sometimes. Wonder where you got it from. And some of the canine beings are like, can't we all just get along? And the felines are like, no. No, not really. We are the master race, and some canines fight back. So there are worlds where canines and felines are still fighting each other. Some of this is on Orion, some of this is in Sirius and different places around your universe. It's like a race wars you have here. Some beings that just don't get along with each other. A lot of canines are pretty decent, but some canines have gained a lot of power, like the werewolf, but they have others. But some are just had enough of the kitties. So that's been going on for some time now, of felines and canines not getting along. And it goes on to other species. I mean, you can have even reptilian beings that are actually trying to calm these fights down. Well, yes, sometimes you need a reptilian being to interfere. A big bronco being to come in, just like, can we just stop all this already? Because imagine some of you can view some of that. Just cats and dogs really just disliking each other. Obviously, you see it on a different level, but when you have a feline that feels like it can fight anybody, you have a canine feels like it can attack anybody, then you have a different world altogether. It's almost like a feline canine boxing match. Yeah, in some regard, it's a little bit more vicious than that, but you can look at it from that point of view. So there are actually a lot of planets where they're still at it with each other. It doesn't make it a full out war, but they have a dislike for each other. And the best way to teach them is to have them both live with each other. As you have a canine feline world, you'll have some reptilians here and there to keep things cool, but overall, it's between the two of them. So it's like taking two kids that can't stand each other and put them in the locker room. It's like, deal with it. So that's one way of looking at it. There is much more to it than that, but it is a deep. It's here, but it's not. Some of you might see it, but it's still something it's a deep wound. One of the two of them. It's just the battle of the egos to a certain degree. Well, they want to see who wins, but no one wins these wars. Nobody wins that ever. They might think there's a winner, but really no. Just because they keep on going with it. So, I mean, there are worlds where felines and canines have finally calmed down, but there's some that are still fighting forever. And some of you, once again, feel that energy here, waste between races. It's like, is there ever an end to it? Because there are entities that come in and manipulate it. Keep it going. So, well, you can also see the positive energies between both animals, feline and canine, how to help the human survive. So you can say, so you have feline and canines fighting each other, but they have a lot of knowledge of the universe, depending on who it is, of course. But some of them do feel kind of responsible for what's going on here on their planet. And that's why they're here. To make amends. Now the felines and the canines that are fighting here, those groups aren't necessarily have their cats and their dogs here. Other groups brought their cats and dogs here to heal that energy. Now some have. There's different groups, but like the Siamese cat, they're not always easy to get along with. And even some Doberman, the dogs are kind of those can be easily weaponized. Normally they're pretty cool, but they can also be attack dog very, very easily. Easily triggered. And what do you call it? The pug? Yeah, they're usually like your or the bulldog. You call it the bulldog? Yeah, they're usually your voice of reason, usually. So this is